Hello, everybody, and welcome to the EOVI Business Podcast, where all we do is talk hardcore business. We've got my co-host, Tom Warren, and we've also got a guest here today. Guest, would you care to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Jude. My name is Rich Vanleeuwen. I have a business called Numbera CPA, and I'm also currently...
We already know those things.
You know those things. Well,
Look at this guy trying to plug himself.
Our chapter president, Rich.
Yeah. My current role is chapter president.
We were just talking about how easy that role is.
Oh yeah, it's a breeze.
Just a walk in the park.
It's a total breeze. You guys should sign up.
Yeah, no, that's what I was going to say. Please, get on the waiting list.
You look younger too than last time I saw you.
I know. Less gray hair.
Now, before we get too far into the show, we do have a show sponsor.
We do. Everyone knows that the chapter's got a bunch of sponsors. We wanted to thank today Gabe from Bell Rock, who's been with the chapter for a bunch of years. And, Gabe's kind of a special guy because he's an entrepreneur himself. The services that company gives in consulting, I think are huge value to a ton of our members. And I know he's been out to my forum and other forums and given some quick hits on different topics. I think a lot of folks really connect with Gabe and what he's brought to the chapter has been fantastic. So yeah.
You always hear people talk about the $1 million coffee. Gabe, Bell Rock,
They could be that much, do they? Oh, shit.
There's a great case study, actually, about Williams & White. This is a company that's founded in 1957. I'm not going to get into the minutiae, but basically, Bell Rock got involved. These are people that were dealing with succession planning. They had to diversify a product offering. They'd just been sold. And so there was all new management involved. Long story short, Bell Rock got involved. They won multiple awards. They increased revenues by 50% and a bunch of other stuff. So if you want more information, obviously talk to Gabe, but also check out the case study on Williams & White because it really speaks to what they can do for you.
Yeah, that's really cool. We actually had Gabe come and speak to our forum, and there's tons of value even in that, 1 hour presentation that he did for us.
Now, moving on, we should maybe touch on events real quick and let people know, because I think the newsletter just went out, 15 plus. I think there was actually 18 events on there.
Jude has been spearheading that newsletter going out. So,
well, it's it's the only thing holding me down is whoever was doing it prior to me. What, does anyone know who did this before?
I can't seem to.
The chicken at the Union Club was excellent. Yes. And speaking of the Union Club,
speaking of chickens,
we have Mark McGrath.
Yes.
Whose podcast a lot of folks probably have heard. He's going to be speaking to us from the beautiful Union Club on the 19th, next week. And
then, of course, today's Valentine's Day, so we've got to talk about that next event.
We have the Art of Love.
Art of Love
coming, and that's going to be at the Penny Farthing. And Art of Love is like a partner painting with expert.
I heard Monet might show up.
That's it. Guinness and oil-based paints.
Now, we're not going to cover all 18 events. I'm going to be a little bit self-centered here, and I'm just going to shout out the EOA event. I hope everybody knows that this is open to the entire chapter. And it's extremely valuable, regardless of the size of your business, to really jump into these topics. And this topic is people. Leslie Hayes, who is absolutely fantastic. This is what she says. This is her strongest area. HR is her go-to.
Oh, yeah, I can see that.
Absolutely. So if you can make it, it's February 26th. Typically at Quench, but location still to be announced. But the details will be on Eventbrite.
How long is that one? Is it an all-day thing or half-day?
It's an all-day.
And mid-afternoon, there's usually a panel of EO members, and that's a great discussion.
Any other events you want to touch on?
There's the cool VIH aviation group. That's not till April, but that's going to be super cool. They're going to give us a tour of their hangar and talk about private jets and stuff. So Jason Cridge set that one up.
When I first saw the title, I had to go up and I actually asked Tom, so why would anyone want to take their business private? And Tom had a little chuckle to himself and explained how this is talking about going private jets. So obviously something that Tom does occasionally. Rich being the president, it's the only way he actually gets around.
The only way.
Before I had my first Learjet, I know I felt the same way too, so I don't blame you.
Yeah, well, I look forward to the next podcast because it will be live from 50,000 feet on Tom.
Yeah. Hey, there's one other, and it's Stop Hiring the Wrong Person. Ingrid Vaughn is a personality profiling expert, and so she's coming in to talk about personality profiling and how to use that in your hiring process.
Which is hard for any of us to relate to because we've never made a wrong hire.
Nope. Not once.
Not a single time.
You are awesome.
Can't touch on all the events, but I'm just going to quick shout out to one of them. Why most people fail with virtual assistants. I think his name is Michael Chen. Check him out on YouTube. This guy's an absolute expert.
All right, Rich, we got you here. We're going to put you on the spot.
Uh-oh.
I want to get to know you a bit more. What are you reading?
What am I reading?
Yeah.
I just finished a book called Why Buddhism is True. Really, really interesting, actually. I've never been one to successfully meditate beyond, 3 days. Then I sort of give up and forget. But this book really tied it into how the practical applications of consistent meditation are. Like, you can be a bit more focused. You can be a bit more level when things get out of control. I thought it was a really good book, actually.
Cool.
Yeah.
Have you got other mentors in that kind of space?
No, not really. I actually just downloaded at the new year, in fact, downloaded this app called The Way. A good friend of mine, Dave Stevenson, actually, he's an ex-EO member. He recommended it to me. It's really quite fascinating because it tied well into that book in the sense that someone like me, I need direction. And this app is quite unique in that regard, that it sort of, hey, this is what you're doing today, 10 minutes. Next day, 10 minutes, 10 minutes. Yeah, that's cool.
So why does that resonate with you?
I think it actually helps. It helps me deal with the stress, the day-to-day life, the busyness, keeping myself centered and focused. It's been good and impactful for me, for someone, like I said, who's never really taken to that in the past.
And was there a change along the way that you think has made you more introspective around that?
Yeah, definitely. I actually get up and want to do it now, which is kind of cool.
You formed a habit.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Yeah. Get up, 6 o'clock, go downstairs, do my meditation. And I feel pulled to it, which is totally new. Realizing that it does actually help. It does actually keep you more centered, more focused, and just level.
Okay, so then how about after dark? What do you do at the end of the day to unwind?
Oh, well, 2, maybe 3 years ago, I built a sauna in my backyard and added a little cold plunge to it. And so my favorite thing to do is to crank that thing to 200 degrees and sit in it for half an hour and then jump in the freezing cold water.
Wow. That all sounds very virtuous. What an awesome guy we have here. Okay, what's your largest non-virtue?
Oh God.
Let's go.
I would say I also love to just sink in the couch and scroll garbage online.
And what is your scrolling medium of choice?
YouTube.
Oh gosh, that's a good one. Here's the hack. You go onto YouTube, you type in alien conspiracy. Now, you ignore what comes up. You know the little side scroller on the right side? You just click the first one. Doesn't matter what it says. Click on it. Wait. A bunch of stuff's going to appear. Again, ignore it. Click on the top result on the scroll bar on the right side. That's your content. And we're good for hours at this point.
All right. And what about the year ahead, Rich? What's you stepped into this 2-year labor of love with EO. What do you see ahead?
Yeah. Well, as you guys know, I just got back from the president's meeting in Tulum, Mexico, maybe a week and a half ago. And it was very eye-opening. So the role is quite heavy and there's a lot to learn. And the first 6 months was, in my opinion, me sort of getting traction, figuring out, what I'm doing, what I should do. And then I go to Tulum and I realize everything I wanted to do is still to be done. So my next year is going to look like checking some of those things off the list. I actually have a couple of things in mind that might be new. One is I want to start hosting private, short cocktail parties. One of the things that I think we need to do better here is make sure we're connecting people who are in different forums. And so my idea is, I'm going to start these 6 to 8 person, 2-hour cocktail parties, actually all based on a book by Nick Gray. He lays out this cool roadmap on how to do that and to integrate people really effectively. And there are so many new members over the last year and a half to 2 years.
Oh my gosh.
Right. Yeah. And you know, all of us, we've been around for a while, and I find personally, I haven't been able to get to know these people. And so what I'd like to do is have 6 to 8 people who are from different forums, you know, maybe 1 or 2 from each forum, and just have them over, have some charcuterie and, you know, drinks and then have a topic of discussion, you know, and it doesn't have to be something that's super strict or directed, but just like, you know, an icebreaker and get people talking and get people knowing each other better.
For those that are interested, the book is called The 2-Hour Cocktail Party, How to Build Big Relationships with Small Gatherings. It's about $10 when you find it online or perhaps your local bookstore.
Yeah. And Nick's a great guy. Like I had the opportunity to meet him maybe 2 years ago.
Phenomenal name drop on your part, by the way. Oh yeah, Nick's a great guy. You know, we hang out all the time. Unbelievable.
You know, I had a friend once who bumped into Sonny Bono's nanny at never mind.
Thanks for that, Tom. If you could cut off the guests more frequently, that will get the listeners up. Sorry, Rich, back to your concrete plans for our chapter.
The other initiative that I want to work on is I want to work on getting our board lined up. And by that, what I mean is I look
not to imply they're disaligned.
Not feeling attacked.
Not at all. No. What I mean when I say lined up, I mean successorship in place. And the reason for that is from what they say, and when I'm asking, you know, how do you do this, is you know, there's a ton of value that those members get from being on the board. You get to go to cool trips like Tulum, Mexico, Singapore. Tom, you and I were there last spring. Off to Hawaii.
We shared a bed.
We did.
In Singapore.
Bed or bedroom? I can't remember.
Oh, backpedaling now.
Whoa. But you learn a lot. You get a ton of value from these things. You meet a whole bunch of cool people from around the world. And from my perspective, I don't think we know that. I don't think that's communicated well enough. And so one of my goals is to make sure that people in our chapter recognize that there is an opportunity to be on the board. It's hugely valuable personally and for your business, and to get people signed up and
there's the swag too.
Tons of swag.
I've primarily done it for the pens.
Do you know how sad I am about losing my EO coat?
Ooh,
I'm not even kidding. Yeah.
What happened?
I wish I knew.
Yeah.
I'm just going to blame children.
My kids borrow my EO stuff all the time. You know, they're down at the Duke, and there they are. You know, I once found I was down at Value Village, and I found a Morinwood T-shirt.
Did you?
In the rack at Value Village.
I almost feel like that's sort of something to be proud of. Like
Yeah.
I would feel so accomplished if I went to Value Village and I saw my stuff on the rack. I mean, I only have 5 shirts I've ever made, but still.
I thought my staff cherished. Never mind. I've gotten over it.
Tom is deeply hurt on the podcast.
Yeah.
This is happening in real time.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the chapter, I've been around for between 8 and 10 years. A long time ago, when you and I actually were in Catalyst together,
Yeah.
our Catalyst group struggled to keep 8 to 10 members around. And I can't remember exactly, but I don't think Global was more than 2 forums.
I honestly can't remember that far back.
It was a lot smaller.
Yeah,
regardless.
it was significantly smaller. Maybe 3.
Yeah, maybe 3. And so now, you know, I believe we're at 60 plus members for Global 50s.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of growth.
Tons.
And as we all know, you know, if you have a company with 3 people, comms, alignment, very easy or easier. And now all of a sudden it's a much larger organization. EOA is fairly large.
Yeah.
As a group, we're pushing 80-ish. It seems like it's a huge opportunity, but also I don't think we can ignore how hard it is to now navigate this much larger organization where you can't just count on people getting together casually at the meetings and all the information, the programs and the personalities get disseminated.
Yeah.
So it's I'm sure it's hard, but it sounds like quite the opportunity.
Absolutely. And it's quite a bit different than running your own organization too, right? in our situation, it's a volunteer board, right? And so that has a different element to it when you're leading it. And I'm super thankful to have the opportunity to figure that out, because that's something new for me to learn. But to your point, as you grow, everything changes. You all of a sudden, you have to do things differently to make sure people are actually getting the information you need, or gathering feedback is different, and the types of events you can have and want to have become different. It's interesting. It's fun. It can be a lot of work at times, but it's also really rewarding.
And I want to share a couple of things. So I've been forum chair, and so I'm responsible for placing people in forums. And so now I've had the experience of launching a couple forums just to show how much we've grown. I mean, we launched Forum 5 last year. We just launched Forum 6 and Forum 7. All of these will have sexy names later. But we got another forum about to launch.
Yeah.
Right. And what has been so cool is to watch how quickly a bunch of newbies that haven't experienced the value and the power of having a community like this, how quickly they get into it, and how almost hungry they are for it. And it just it's so energizing to watch. Just yesterday, we had this event down at the Union Club. I think it was capped at 40 or something.
Yeah.
I remember. That I had actually had a shit sleep. And I got into that room, and it's just like, holy shit, look at all of these friends I have. Mm-hmm. And I went around, caught up with people. It was just the most, again, energizing thing to hang out with all these new people.
Yeah. You know what? There's really nothing like the forum experience done the way that EO does it, right? It is quite unique. And when you're the owner of a business, it is true. You have very few people that you can go to. There's always some inherent conflict, whether it's your spouse or your business partner or your key staff. There's tons of topics that you literally can't.
Wow, things like the wheels are really falling off at Rich's place.
Yeah, that's why I need forum. So, but to your point, how people really, really sort of fall into it right away, I think speaks to its power.
Okay.
More questions? What do you got?
Let's go on to giving some more value to our folks.
Let's do it.
Okay. Jude, what is the dumbest thing you've ever done in your business?
The dumbest. How long is the podcast?
We don't need a list.
Okay. Because the book is coming. I think probably the silliest, dumbest thing I have ever done is there's a chance I may have had a prior business. Also a chance perhaps business not being run up to a minimum standard, mixing accounts around, paying out of GST, multiple, visas being mixed between personal and business. And I may have been a bit fast and loose with the details to my partner. And by partner, I mean business and life partner, my wife. And then one day I discover through a friend who had equally as good organizational skills as I did in his business, that if the CRA is upset, they had come to his house and taken everything. That was the day I thought, maybe I should let my wife in. Maybe I should tell her what's going on. And so that not letting my wife know what was going on, because you can imagine.
Okay,
perhaps.
So it wasn't the act of mixing.
No.
It was the act of...
I don't know if we need to really focus in. I think this is a general discussion.
I'm trying to help our listeners out here.
I mean, there was a few things that happened. Actually following up to that, once I'd gotten into discussions with the CRA, I think I'm trying to save a business. I'm sure ego had nothing to do with it, obviously. And she says to me, you've got to pay all this money back in these 3 payments, and there's no chance I was going to do that. And I said to her with all the bravado and confidence, well, I guess I'll just have to fire all the employees and shut it down. Is that what you want? She doesn't miss a beat. She goes, yeah, Mr. Brown, that's probably the best idea. Like I said last podcast, shocked. So that toned me down quite a bit, relaxed a little bit, thought, uh-oh. And then I was a lot more polite at that point. And then we were able to work together and eventually figure something out, which was eventually shuttering it down. And that woman, if I could ever track her down, I would buy her dinner and say thank you, because that thing needed to get ended. And that was actually a massive positive because I was able to move forward, learn from it, get into what I'm doing today, which I frickin' love. But those were some minor, I mean, I haven't really made any other mistakes.
Okay, Rich, you might not to be quite as verbose as you. What?
I feel attacked.
Oh gosh, I've made so many stupid mistakes, but I think the biggest one was probably just over levering myself. Yeah. I had a business for, I don't know, 7 or 8 years. And at that point had an ego and thought I could do it all myself. And so I decided to buy out my business partner and made the mistake of paying probably too much, taking on too much debt, only to very shortly after have my revenues chopped by 40%. The stupidity of my projections didn't include a 40% revenue cut. So that led to two plus years of scrounging around for money, not paying myself, negotiating with vendors. And
this podcast hosted by Craft Dinner. Canadian product.
Yeah. How about you, Tom?
By far the stupidest thing that I regret the most was forging my wife's signature on banking documents.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that went over big.
I was going to say, how did she find out?
I don't remember.
We can actually plug a phone or do a Bluetooth thing. Can we call her and just get a live reaction?
Can I call an alienated friend?
We call them lifelines, but
Walk us through that one. That's an interesting one.
Funny fact, we were actually going to go today to finalize our divorce. And he said, oh, we can't do that. It's Valentine's Day. We can't do that on Valentine's Day.
And Tom's like, don't worry. Just give me the documents. I'll get them signed later. It's fine.
You don't have to worry about it. I got this covered.
Yeah.
I'm an old hand.
All right. What else did we want to cover? How are you feeling about how's your little risk tolerance, spidey sense these days? The megalomaniac in chief south of the border that's making us crazy up here.
Okay, well, I like to call him the content president. All right,
he's very good at that.
He's amazing at content. For me personally, if we'd had this discussion a couple of weeks ago, my anxiety was like being triggered.
Yeah,
it was so much, and everything's doomsday because the amount of information now is just a full-on fire hose. I've given up. And so I guess I'm ostriching. I'm head in the sand.
Yeah.
And so I'm just focusing on what I can focus on. And I actually feel 1,000 times better.
Yeah. I think it's his playbook. 100%. What is that book he wrote in the 80s? Art of the Deal. Or something like that.
Well, that he Ghost wrote, but yes.
Yeah, sure.
So what I've found interesting, like tons of people have taken this time to sort of like, self-flagellate. Oh, Canada, we only have one customer. Who's the stupid idiot who made all these decisions that got us here? I think there's a much longer context to our relationship with the States, and that goes back to like pre-Brian Mulroney. We decided to get on this free trade relationship, and I guess this is the natural outcome of where we went. And the thing is, I think it worked for us for a really long time, and we have a lot of prosperity as a result of that relationship. But I think that was probably like a 40-year period in time. And now we have a new playbook we got to write for Canada for the next whatever four decades get called.
Yeah,
quadrictile.
Hearing Sal speak yesterday from BMO definitely didn't give me a whole lot of optimism for Canada, at least. Although the win. The good side of that was it seems like the province of BC is going to be one of the least impacted, just given what industries are tending to be hurt the most right now with these pending tariffs.
Yeah. And I think the positive kick in the pants for Canada in general, all Canadians, is just recognizing, what are our shared values and what are they in contrast to those of other countries? And it's shocking how uniting it has. Did I say that word correctly? Yeah, how united?
We love the word.
Okay.
Do not ever change.
galvanizing. It's been for everybody.
Well, it's a common enemy, right?
Mm-hmm. We're in wartime.
Yeah.
I was in Save on Foods 2 nights ago, and a couple things that we buy a lot of orange juice, and we don't buy the.
Is this a non sequitur? Go.
Okay, can someone get me a dictionary first, and then I'll answer the question? So I buy a lot of orange juice. We're not currently being supported by orange juice producers, but when I go to the orange juice section and we buy the frozen orange juice because we're not like money bags like Tom. Usually there's like 4 or 5 containers of orange juice left, and you sort of scramble to reach to the back. It's cold. It's an experience, but I tough it out. I was at Save on Foods. It was a wall of frozen orange juice. Nobody was touching it. I'm in the apple section. I'm a bit of an apple guy. Okay, I'm outed. In the apple section, there's these bags of American apples. They're $4 off a bag.
No one's buying them.
Nobody is touching them. It was amazing to see this little protest happening of people showing nationalism. And to your point, Tom, finding out areas where we actually are aligned and united, or anointed. I can't even remember the word. But anyway, it was super interesting to see on the ground level in the store what's actually happening.
Well, how many times have you had a conversation about where you're going to travel to next? Mm-hmm. Right? My wife, Kelly, and I, we've been talking about this for a little bit, and we are not going to America.
I think as business owners, I mean, I feel like it's such an emotional roller coaster, really, in a way that, like you say, Jude, the hits of news change so often, and what's this natural emotional response we all have to the flight response getting triggered, that we already feel like we're abused puppies or something. It's super challenging to sort out in your own mind, like what is an emotional response and what is strategic thinking about how the world is going to be different.
Given the volume, it's got to be 90% emotional.
Yes,
and the way we absorb content and news now, it's never the actual strategic. Mm-hmm. There's always an emotional spin on it, I find. And I found myself similar to you, Jude. Like, it's been so much recently that I'm just like, oh God, I don't even care anymore. I should. It's important, but it's just overwhelming. And Kelly and I will have a conversation. She's like, "What do you think's going to happen?" I'm like, honestly, I've just kind of stopped listening because I don't know, and it's all just so insane.
Yeah.
Well, at some point, we're going to need our Churchill, I think.
Have you paid attention to the polling numbers?
Yeah.
So you guys understand how there was no way the Conservatives were not going to win nationally 3 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
It was
that. Yeah.
I just checked. The polling came out, I believe, on Monday. Maybe it was Tuesday. They've gotten even.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's with the potential of Carney, right?
Yep. Yeah, it's wild to see that swing.
There was a hilarious thing I heard the other day. It's like the plane is crashing, and kind of our attitude to say, well, those pilots are so out of touch with our feelings. What we really need is one of us to go up there and fly this plane. It's like, no, when the plane is crashing, you want a fucking pilot. Mm-hmm. And I don't know that we know who that is.
Agreed.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think that's what we're all hoping for and grasping for, is we want someone with 40,000 hours under their belt to sit themselves down in the chair and strap in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely fair.
And fight for us, right? At the end of the day.
I was thinking about snakes on a plane, and Harrison would just be like, he would fucking kick ass, right?
Totally would.
He'd be there. Oh no, that wasn't Snakes on a Plane. That was Air Force One. But or was that Airplane?
You can see
it's a good movie.
You could see the mashup would be amazing.
Mm-hmm. I feel grateful. Who are we thanking?
our guest, each other, the world,
Rich,
the universe.
Thanks for coming and being abused.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much, Rich. Thank you, Tom. We talked a little bit about what EO is all about, and it's an absolute pleasure spending this time with you both. It's fun.
Well, thanks for having me. That was a lot of fun.
We'll just go to that next time on the podcast. So actually, why don't we just, anybody have any hints to potential future guests? We don't have to peg in a time, but we could talk about potential future guests.
We do have a future guest lined up who is an experienced person in international trade and relationships.
That would be an interesting person to talk to, I would think.
Yes, indeed.
But we're not going to say who it is.
I like the suspense.
I like it. I like it. I will just drop this little mini bomb live in front of everybody because I haven't even told Tom or Rich.
But we've always suspected.
You've always suspected.
Actually.
I'm glad that it's out. I'm an Apple eater. And so Quench founder Tessa McLaughlin is happy to come on to the show, is excited about it. I said that, we've totally nailed the format, but once we've nailed it a bit more, then we'd bring her in. But she seemed quite excited about coming on the show. And I know she's not an EO member, but she's definitely EO adjacent. And I think she'd be a great guest.
Yeah, that's cool.
Super cool.
Yeah.
Thank you for tuning in, everybody. Have a fantastic weekend.